Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself lost in a vast garden where the concept of suffering or sin does not exist. Everything is pure, divine, and time seems to have no place. Suddenly, with just one single action, everything changes completely. This is the story of the Garden of Eden and its two central figures, Adam and Eve. Yet today, we are not just stopping at the part about sin or the fall, but rather unveiling an equally intriguing question. Who died first, Adam or Eve? At first glance, this question may seem simple, but if you take the time to dig deeper, you will find that it touches upon many complex aspects of the truth in the Bible, how prophecy is spoken of, and even opens up a notion of fulfilled prophecy in the relationship between God and humanity. Furthermore, this journey of discovery offers us the opportunity to reflect on the role of women in the divine connection. If you are someone who constantly ponders questions related to origin and the meaning of human existence, consider yourself one of the chosen ones, ready to listen and feel the profound resonance in this story. Returning to the book of Genesis, we witness the beginning of humankind. God created Adam from the dust of the ground, breathed the breath of life into him, and entrusted him with dominion over all creatures. Then, seeing that it was not good for Adam to be alone, God took one of his ribs and created Eve. The two became the first couple, living harmoniously in the Garden of Eden. It was a place where the truth of God's goodness and the beauty of life were fully revealed. From that warm and peaceful setting, we sense the honor bestowed upon humanity in the divine plan of the Creator. But amidst the fullness of grace, temptation quietly crept in. The serpent, a symbol of evil and deceit, appeared to sow seeds of disobedience. Eve, with her natural curiosity, listened to the serpent's persuasion, believing she could become like God if she ate the forbidden fruit. Her action was not merely eating a prohibited fruit, but marked the beginning of a great downfall. The pure truth in Eden became tainted, and a barrier formed between humanity and God. After Eve ate, she gave the fruit to Adam, and he ate as well. That moment is seen as the starting point of sin, leading to death. From this point on, the prophecy of death became evident in human destiny. However, the issue becomes much more complex when we pose the question, so, who died first? The Bible does not clearly state this. In Genesis, we know that Adam lived to be 930 years old. As for Eve, the text does not mention her lifespan, leaving many scholars and believers wondering. Did the Bible forget her? Or is there a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered? If we turn to non-canonical texts, such as the Book of Jubilees or the life of Adam and Eve, we find a different and intriguing story. According to these writings, Adam fell gravely ill and was nearing death. Eve, witnessing her husband's suffering, wept and lamented bitterly to the point where even the angels were moved. It is said that after Adam departed from this world, Eve continued to live for some time, bearing the pain of loss. This leads to the inference that, physically, Adam died before Eve. Since the moment mankind ate the forbidden fruit, God declared that they would die. But this death also encompassed separation from Him, a spiritual death. According to the Apostle Paul, sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin. The Bible holds Adam ultimately responsible, yet Eve was the first to eat the forbidden fruit, the first to touch sin. Therefore, if death is understood as a rupture in divine fellowship, it could be argued that Eve was the first to experience that spiritual death. The story of Adam and Eve is not just an initial tragedy, but also an integral piece of the grander narrative of redemption. If we consider Jesus Christ as the second Adam, then Adam's failure sets the stage for the prophecy of the Redeemer to be formed and ultimately fulfilled. In other words, Adam and Eve's mistake paved the way for the redemption plan, in which those who believe in Jesus are regarded as the chosen ones who fulfill prophecy, having the opportunity to restore their relationship with God. The question of who died first serves as a profound metaphor. If Eve represents human frailty and susceptibility to temptation, Adam may symbolize the responsibility of bearing the consequences. Both had to enter the trajectory of doom, not only physically but also spiritually. Yet from this despair, a glimmer of hope emerges, a Savior who would conquer death. That Savior, according to prophecy, is Jesus Christ. From here we begin to see how the story connects to the reality of faith. When humanity comprehends the depth of death, they also recognize the urgent need for resurrection and salvation. Those who grasp this become the chosen ones, ready to embrace and fulfill the promise. Throughout history, women's roles have often been overshadowed. Women were rarely detailed in ancient texts, and the Old Testament is no exception. The lack of information about Eve's lifespan or her time of death reflects the historical context, where male lineage was more emphasized. However, this does not diminish Eve's significance. Rather, her absence prompts us to question and reflect even more. Regardless of the interpretation, the story forces us to confront an undeniable truth. Disobedience leads to death. Whether Adam or Eve physically died first is less important than the spiritual significance of death. From the moment they left the Garden of Eden, humanity has been caught in the struggle between good and evil, between the desire to draw near to God and the tendency to fall away. It is a long journey of humanity seeking to recover the lost truth, longing for fulfilled prophecy to bring redemption. Therefore, the lesson to take away is not just to know when Adam died or how long Eve lived, but to grasp the importance of obedience and maintaining a spiritual connection. Through the story, we see that when humanity experiences spiritual death, all blessings seem to fade away. To be revived, they need a mediator who will restore their loving relationship with God. This is the essence of the gospel, the greatest fulfilled prophecy. Let's return to the original question. Who died first, Adam or Eve? Genesis clearly records Adam's lifespan but remains silent about Eve. Apocryphal texts suggest that Eve lived beyond Adam, witnessing his final breath. Meanwhile, symbolically, many believe Eve died spiritually earlier, as she was the first to succumb to temptation. For centuries, humanity has debated and sought to unravel this mystery. But whether we focus on history or symbolism, the ultimate point remains. The death in question marks the end of original harmony and the beginning of human struggle with sin and the quest for redemption. From a broader perspective, the Bible is a story of lost fellowship and the journey to restore it. At this point, we clearly see the crucial role of prophecy. From the fall in the Garden of Eden, the prophecy of a Savior was planted. People waited, prophets proclaimed, and centuries later Jesus appeared, completing the circle of fulfilled prophecy. Therefore, if we only focus on asking, who died first, without seeing the continuity of this redemptive promise, we might only grasp a small part of the issue. Perhaps the Bible's silence regarding the details of Eve's death serves as an invitation for us to ask more questions, delve deeper, and connect the truth within the grand narrative. Sometimes what seems missing becomes a gateway to discovering profound spiritual meaning. Physical death may have occurred for both Adam and Eve, but whether one died before or after the other does not change the reality that both lost the original blessing. And it cannot be denied. From that darkness, the hope of redemption shines like a beacon. From this perspective, we understand the importance of fulfilled prophecy. From Adam to Jesus, a chain of prophecies was given, guiding humanity through the long night. Those of us who place our faith in him can become the chosen ones, gradually fulfilling the promise of redemption within our own lives. This is the grand story, where every detail, whether the death of Adam or the death or absence of Eve, contributes to the overall picture of grace, sin, and restoration. From this seemingly ancient story, we find modern insights applicable to life today. Death can come at any moment, to anyone, but physical death is still more bearable than spiritual death. If Eve represents curiosity and the urge to break free, then Adam symbolizes responsibility and the burden of consequences. Both are needed for the story to be complete, like two sides of a coin. Between them, the truth about human nature, limitations, and the need to be guided by the Creator is fully revealed. After all, perhaps we must arrive at our own answer to the question, who died first, Adam or Eve? Based on non-biblical texts, we might believe that Adam physically died first. From a spiritual perspective, we might conclude that Eve died first because she was the first to touch sin. Or we might say that both died at the same moment when they lost their perfect relationship with God. Regardless of the answer, the focus should be on the core truth. Humanity lost the most precious thing, spiritual life. And from that point, the journey of human redemption began. That is why this story invites us to pause and reflect on our relationship with the Creator. Where are we on that journey? Have we allowed ourselves to die because of misplaced passions, doubts, or despair? Or are we clinging to Jesus, believing that the fulfilled prophecy of salvation also applies to us? Once we understand this, we truly enter a new chapter, becoming the chosen ones who fulfill prophecy, ready to embrace true life from His love. In this contrast, the prophecy of a Savior to redeem humanity has never faded, and the fulfilled prophecy occurred when Jesus completed His mission on the cross. From that moment, the path to heaven was opened. If Eve marked the beginning of loss, then Jesus marked the beginning of restoration. In the 21st century, we are still writing new chapters of this story as the chosen ones, amid countless doubts, temptations, and challenges from modern life. So, what conclusion will you draw? Did Adam die first, or did Eve depart earlier? Each person may hold their own perspective, but ultimately what we must remember most is the lesson of sin and grace. Death is not merely the cessation of breath, but a loss within the spiritual dimension. Conversely, resurrection is not just a revival of the body, but a return to the source of grace, where God extends His welcoming arms. From the Garden of Eden to Jesus the Savior, from Adam and Eve to you and me, the truth continues to spread, the prophecy continues to be fulfilled, and the chosen ones who fulfill prophecy are always called to move forward into new light. Wishing you many blessings.